Okay, good morning and welcome to Module 4, Lesson 26, Characterization of Parallel Lines. Um, Today we're going to start our notes on page 159, and we are going to skip around a bit for the sake of the video. So on page 159, we're going to start with a system just like we've been doing, meaning there's more than one equation here. And we're going to start by graphing the system. So the first one, you have y equals 2/3 x plus 4. 4 is the y-intercept, so we're going to start there by putting a dot there. And our slope, 2/3, means we're going to go up 2 and right 3 and make a second dot. And then we're going to take our rulers and we're going to make a line through that, those two dots. Okay, so there's equation 1. Our second equation, y equals 4/6x minus 3, indicates that we should start our graph at -3. That's our y-intercept because there's not an x attached there. And our slope then indicates we should go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and right 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and make a dot. And again, we want to use our rulers and draw a line through our graph. And here we have our system. Now, if you recall from the previous lessons, to solve a system, every system has a solution, and the solution to the system is where the two graphs cross. Well, in this case, we came out with some parallel lines. So our solution, we actually don't have one. These will never cross. So our solution to a system with parallel lines is actually no solution. And so if you look below, it asks us to identify the slope and y-intercept of each equation. So for part A, equation 1, our slope was 2/3. That's next to the x. And equation 2, our slope was 4/6. And what do we notice about that? Well, 2/3 is in simplest form, but 4/6 isn't. So if we simplify 4/6 by dividing the numerator and denominator by 2, the simplified version of that is 2/3. So we notice that the slopes of our two equations are actually the same. Y-intercepts of them, though, so our y-intercept for the first equation was 0, 4, and that started here. And our y-intercept of the second equation was 0, -3 here. And so these are different, but our slopes are the same. And what that means is we're going to end up with parallel lines. Our y-intercepts have to be different because if they were the same, let's say we started our second equation in the same spot that we started our first. So let's say this instead said +4. Then we would start here and use our slope of 4/6. We'd go up 4/6. We would end up right here, but it would still land on the same line. So because y-intercepts are different but slopes are the same, that indicates that we're going to have parallel lines. So let's write a few notes here, okay? Our notes. Same slope, different y-intercepts, and that will graph parallel lines, which will give us, every time, no solution. Okay, they will never ever cross. So that's the basic premise of what we are going to talk about here in lesson 26. Now, the next thing I want to do is skip a few pages just to go over some of the other types of questions that we're going to have in the lesson for the sake of the video. So we're actually going to skip to page 162. And what I want to do is do number 4 and 7 for the sake of the video. So first of all, number 4, write a system that has no solution. So a system that has no solution, we just realized they have to have the same slope but different y-intercept. So let's start with something y equals 2x plus 4. And you can start with anything. 2 is our slope, so we know in our second one we have to have that same number next to the x, so 2x plus 4. 4 is our y-intercept. We know that has to be different, so we're going to say plus something else other than 4. So we're going to say maybe plus 5. And that means that this system will have no solution because they have the same slope, different y-intercept. They'll make parallel lines. Okay, last but not least on this video today is going to be number 7, and this goes directly with the homework today. So what we want to do is decide if this system has a solution or not without graphing it, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to decide if these have the same slope and different y-intercepts just by using algebra. So let's start with the first equation. 6x minus 2y equals 5. Okay, in order to determine the slope, we have to solve this equation for y. We have to get it to be y equals. So our first step is to subtract 6x from both sides. And then we want to divide by -2 all the way across. Now, you can do this by leaving it as fractions or as decimals. Either way, you should be able to come up with the same answer. So I'm going to use decimals on this one. Y equals 5 divided by -2 will give you -2.5. And -6x divided by -2 will give you positive 3x. Okay, so this is our transformed equation 1. Let's transform now equation 2. 4x minus 3y equals 5. Okay, to transform this, the first step is to subtract 4x from both sides. And then we want to divide by -3 all the way across. All right, that leaves us with y equals 5 divided by -3 is going to give you -1.6 repeating. And -4x divided by -3 is going to give you positive 1.3 repeating x. Now, remember, what are we looking at here to decide if this has a solution? We're looking at slope and y-intercept. Well, our y-intercepts are different, so that's good. And our slopes here, our slope here is 3. Our slope on this one is 1.3. Our slopes are different. So that means at some point, if we graph these, they're going to cross each other. So what that means, does this system have a solution? Yes. And the reason is because the slopes are different. Remember, if they were the same, we know that they would be parallel and have no solution. Okay, I know that was quick, but that does encompass an example of each of the type of the ones on the homework today. So homework is going to be on page 164, numbers 1 through 10. If you need to rewatch the video, please feel free to rewind. Otherwise, come and see me either before school or at lunch and I will give you additional help.